And another thing here in this realm of DC that I want to hit on because, well, it deserves being discussed, which is in the last week or so, some new comments have come to light from the head of Warner Brothers, Toby Emmerich, that I wanted to read to you about how they're basically Warner Brothers is having a whole return to its filmmaker driven sort of style, where it's more about the quality of the films and not the quantity, and it's more about just giving artistic expression and all that. I'm going to read this because it's been a frequent topic here on the show over these years, where I've chronicled what happened with Zack Snyder and what happened with David Ayer and all the weird times that DC kind of stepped in and cut the legs off its filmmakers and all that sort of stuff, and how different that is from what Warner Brothers used to be, because Warner Brothers used to have a great reputation for being a filmmaker driven studio. And then somewhere in the last, nine or so years, they got awful handsy and there were an awful lot of cooks in the kitchen. And we ended up with some pretty subpar films because of it. So Toby Emmerich, in a recent chat with Deadline, said the secret of the movie business is quality. It's the best business strategy for both theatrical motion pictures and superhero movies. The movies don't have to all have the same tone or interlock with other DC movies or have an Easter egg that sets up another film. Quality is the most important factor for a studio, and the biggest thing you can do to influence quality is the filmmaker that you hire. So we're going back to trusting filmmakers, Brett. We're going back there. So, you know,
Listen,
what?
the one thing I can't stand about these, like when these guys come out, these like big head honchos, like he comes out with this, like it's a new idea, and he figured it out, and it's the best idea anyone's ever heard.
Oh,
It's like,
really, Toby? Hiring good filmmakers makes
we've been
good
fucking
movies.
doing this for how long? Like, we already know that this is the right move, and it's unbelievable. I can't deal
Yeah.
with it. Hey, Toby Emmerich here. Just want to tell you about a
Oh,
couple
wow.
of good ideas I came up with about films. We should let the directors do their job. It's like, oh
And
wow,
go figure, you make a good film, a good picture with good quality. People will like it. Go figure. All right. So
they love the talkies out here. They love the talkies.
yeah, he's got some really revolutionary ideas, this
Yeah, like
Toby Emmerich guy.
I can't deal with this
But
shit
but
sometimes.
look, I feel like, when these comments came out, there was a little bit of a backlash from a certain set of fans within the DC fandom. I think you know who we're talking about. The
I,
fans of
I'm sorry. I'm not
Okay, I'll give you a
familiar.
hint. They're prone to hashtags. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
They
okay.
like one particular filmmaker, and they seem to only like that one particular filmmaker. Because even when the Batman comes out, they're busy clamoring for something different and trying to boycott it. Have you
Oh,
figured out
oh.
the group of people who might have been mad at Mr. Emmerich's
These are the
comment?
people that watch 6 hours of WrestleMania. That's it,
These
right?
are the people who watch 6 hours of
Them. It's
WrestleMania.
them.
Yes, no, like and listen, but like, and on the surface, they have a point, right? Because they read these
Yeah.
comments and they're like, well, where was this energy when Zack Snyder was there? All this, oh, we're gonna let the filmmakers do the thing and we're gonna trust them and all that. Where was this energy for Snyder, right? But the problem actually is that Snyder, it might have worked for them to give him just free reign to do what he wants if he was in charge of, say, one character or one part of the property. But during those pivotal years there between 2013 through 16, he suddenly became the architect of the entire Justice League. He cast every single character, he designed every single costume, he was making these huge choices practically on his own about all their origins. And then all of a sudden, all these other filmmakers had to come in and somehow work within Snyder's vision. It's interesting to think,
Yeah. Which then it becomes no longer filmmaker driven. It's
yeah,
only filmmaker driven for Zach and
it's
nobody else.
weird, right? Yeah, like it's the filmmaker driven thing got pulled away from Snyder, but that wasn't before they actually gave him a shot at being the central voice. And it seems like they gave him like a limited chance during the development of Batman versus Superman, they gave him a limited window there where he could really make all these huge choices and introduce all these characters that they want to make all these franchises out of. And then they very quickly got buyer's remorse and started micromanaging him to hell. But so it's just interesting though. We with the filmmaker driven thing, like it's almost a shame that he couldn't have just stuck with one character. Like even though I may not have loved it, had he just stuck with a Superman trilogy and then other
Yeah,
directors started launching Batman and Cyborg and whatever on the side, then who knows? Snyder might have never had to deal with too much studio meddling. But
yeah,
since all of a sudden now he's playing with every single, holy grail character they have, all of a sudden now it's like, wait a minute, we got to pump the brakes here, and actually, this guy has too much power. So it's just
right.
it's weird the way the whole situation's kind of worked itself out. But here we are in 2022, and Toby Emmerich has the revolutionary idea of letting filmmakers just make films and not meddle and not worry about how it fits into some puzzle and all that other thing. So,
Right.
did you have any other comments on any of this?
No, it just, I mean, like I said, it's such a weird realization that they're coming to now. When we know that that's, I mean, like, listen, like, you even think like Warner Brothers, until they kind of pissed them off, like with Nolan. I mean, like they let him do his thing for Batman. I mean, they let him do his thing
Yeah,
for all of his movies. I mean, Interstellar was under Warner Brothers.
yeah, and that's why he was there
Inception,
all the time. Yeah,
yeah, and
I,
they let this guy like be the filmmaker that he is and do
yeah,
his thing. And so it's like you already knew that and it worked. So like
yeah.
what was the weird shit? I don't understand why the weird shift in the first place. It's really weird.
It is weird, just even just talking about it though, realizing the chronology. It's like in a way that whole departure lived and died with Snyder. It's like we
Yeah.
went from filmmaker to even through Man of Steel, things were still like they were kind of hands off. They let Nolan, who was producing it, and Snyder, who was directing it, make the final decisions about that movie. They were still hands off. Then
Yeah.
somewhere during the development of BVS, I remember there was a delay. There was a point when BVS was going to be coming out in 2015, and then they delayed it till March of 2016 because they were kind of revamping the story and kind of turning the film into a launch pad for the entire DCEU. And somewhere in that development during that delay in like 2014 and in the development of BVS, that's when all of a sudden it became Snyder is calling all these shots. And then within not even like the movie didn't even make it to theaters in March of
Right.
2016 without the studio going, well, maybe not. Because right at the test screenings in January of that year is when they decided to cut off a half hour from the movie and start rewriting Justice League. Like it's crazy how quickly they went back and forth from Snyder, here are the keys to the kingdom, to all right, you got to get the hell out of here. We have to fix the mess you made.
Yeah, it was
Very
just like
strange.
it was like a wrong place, wrong
Yeah.
time kind of deal. Yeah, and then like you just mentioned really quick, like I so much would have rather have seen Zack Snyder just continue on and do like a Superman trilogy than what he ended up doing.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
actually think like we would have got out of that, trilogy that will never be. I think the end result would have been something far superior than what we got,
Yeah.
BVS and Justice League. With or without the meddling.
Yep.
But hey,
But look,
hey, that's how the cookie crumbles.
hey, oh, how
Oh,
Bruce Almighty of you. But okay.